So find the greatest common factor of 84x y to the fifth, 36x squared y to the fourth, and 60x to the fourth y cubed. Okay, so let's start with the numbers. Numbers in front. So for the numbers in front, I use the calculator, find the largest number that divides evenly into 84, 36, and 60. So how do you do that? Well, I would just try my calculator. So I would say, well, I know 2. I know I could divide by 2, and divide by 2. And that works, right? If you use your calculator, they all go evenly into 2. Say, okay, but how about we try 3? And so if you divide by 3, you'll find out that one works, and that one works. You go, oh, okay, 3 is even a bigger number. How about 4? So you try 4. You go, yeah, that one works. That one works. You divide this one by 4. You go, yeah, that one works. So, okay. So 5 isn't going to work. If you do 6, you'll find out 6 works. 6 goes into all those numbers. Just use your calculator and divide. You'll see. So, when you divide by 6, how about this? When you divide by 6, I'll show you what you get. 84 divided by 6. You get 14. And here, when you divide by 6, you get 6. And here, when you divide by 6, you get 10. And I look at 14, 6, and 10, and I say, you know what? I can do another 2, right? 2 goes into all those guys. Again, right? You tracking with what I'm doing here? I divided by 6 and got these 3 results. I took the original 3 numbers, and I'm just trying to divide by bigger and bigger numbers. I divided by 6, and I got 3 answers, and they have more in common. What else can I still divide by? Divide by another 2 for all 3 of them, right? So when you're dividing by 6 and you're dividing by another 2, you're really dividing by 12. Tracking with me? So let's go back. So that means 84, 36, and 60. What I'm saying is they're all divisible by 12. And what will that equal? That will equal, if you divide that one by 12, it'll be 7. This one will be 3. And this one will be 5. And that's got to be the biggest number. Why? Because these 3 have nothing more in common. Right? What goes into 7, 3, and 5? Nothing but 1. 1 goes into everything. We don't really count 1. You tracking with me? So let me go back over that process. I know that might have been a little confusing. So I looked at these 3 fairly large numbers, and I started with my calculator to try to find, I want to find the biggest number, the largest number, greatest common factor, largest number that they have in common, the largest number that divides evenly into all 3 of them. I said, well, they're all divisible by 2. Tried that on my calculator, it worked. Then I did 3, 4, 6. When I got to 6, I noticed that when I divide by 6, here's the 3 answers I get. And notice they have another 2 in common. I'm not done. I know 6 is not the most they have in common. Why? Because after I took a 6 out of all 3 of them, what they had left over still had more in common. In fact, 2 goes into 14, 6, and 10. So that I can divide them by another 2. So not only can I divide them by 6, that's the biggest number so far. After doing that, I can divide them by another 2. Well, what does it mean to divide by 6 and divide by 2? It means to divide by 12. That's where I got the 12. 6 times 2 is 12. And then I brought that 12 right up there. Does that make sense? I divided by 6 and I divided by 2. So I just kept going up the line, 2, 3, 4, 6. You think, why didn't you do that back with 2, 3? Well, because I could just tell I needed to go higher for sure. And then when I get to 6, I'm like, well, I'm close. because all I've got left is 14, 6, and 10. All they have is another 2 in common. So 6 and 2 multiplied is 12. So divide them all by 12 on your calculator. Sure enough, that's it. How do you know that's it? Because the 3 answers, they have nothing more in common. Those 3 answers have nothing more in common. So 12 is indeed the largest number that divides evenly into all 3 of those. All right, so there's that. And then how do you do the letters? Well, for the letters, you take actually the lowest power for each letter, because that's what they have in common, right? What they share. So when it comes to x's, one has x, the other has x squared, the other has x to the 4th. So x is the lowest. And then when it comes to y's, y to the 5th, y to the 4th, y to the 3rd, y to the 3rd is the lowest. So that's what they all have. So that makes sense. They all have y to the 3rd or more. They all have in common y to the 3rd. They don't all have y to the 4th, right? This guy doesn't have y to the 4th. They don't all have y to the 5th. What they have in common is y to the 3rd. That's the greatest amount they share in common, is y to the 3rd. You might think, why is it? It's not the greatest, it's the lowest. No, it's the greatest that they share in common, right? They have, for example, they all have y squared, right? They all have y squared or more. They all have at least 2 y's, but that's not the greatest that they share. The greatest they share is 3 y's. They all have 3 y's or more. So that's the greatest. So the lowest power for each letter is the greatest amount they have in common. All right, so when all is said and done, which it is now, what's the GCF? It's 12, the number in front, 12. That's the biggest number they share in common. That's the biggest number that divides into all 3, 12. And regular x and y cubed. Oops, try that again. There we go. There is the greatest common factor. That's the most that those 3 terms share in common.